Joining me now is Indiana Republican Senator Mike Braun. He has signed a letter saying he would not vote for any legislation that funds the enforcement of an employer vaccine mandate, but I believe he had stopped short of wanting to use the government funding bill as a way for threatening a shutdown. But, Senator, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Let me ask you, I know you would like to see a defunding of the federal government's push for the private vaccine mandates. Are you advocating a government shutdown to do that?
I'm going to agree with you, Chuck, and what I just heard the leader say as well. We always get, we're holding the bag on the government shutdown deal. We get blamed for it regardless of the merits of the case. That's why I chose to get on the CRA version of it. But when I look at some that are wanting to, it's probably due to frustration. Frustrated me since I've been here a little under 3 years. We don't do budgets anymore. No regular order. And remember, this is spending that should have been fleshed out before September 30th. It's for the prior year. CRs, I guess the only consolation is there's so much money wanting to be spent with a new appropriations regimen that CRs are actually beneficial. But no, shutting the government down is another part of the dysfunction here, because we don't do budgets, we don't mind the business of the biggest business in the world for all the people that depend upon it, and we spend too much money, we borrow too much money. Shutting the government down is not the way to solve anything.
So let's talk about the Congressional Review Act. We can talk about the merits of the idea in a second, but you are using what one would call a proper channel to address your concerns about what the executive branch is doing. Explain why you want to use the Congressional Review Act to do this. First
of all, my, street sense, gut feel was that I could get all Republicans on it once we initiated it, and had everyone on it, I believe, before the Thanksgiving break on our side. I'm optimistic we'll get a few Democrats, because the underlying issue there gets down to, regardless of what you think of the vaccines, I've been very clear, lucky we have them, take the disease seriously. But when you couch it in either get the vaccine or lose your job, Axios, 14% of the public, that means 2/3 of Democrats don't agree with that. Courts are weighing in, it's falling apart because it's a bad idea. But this is the right way to say that you think it's a bad idea. Every congressman, every senator will be on record, and that at least we end up with being able to say you're for it or against it in the only formal way we can do it.
Let me ask about the substance, the vaccine mandate. Well, how you described it is actually not how the mandate would work. It is either get the vaccine or testing once a week. That's a very soft mandate, one that's, look, we'll see what the Supreme Court does, but they've upheld pretty much every mandate that's come before them so far. We'll find out how this one goes. But that doesn't seem to be that difficult. Why do you think it's so difficult for a private business to either have testing to protect its workers or a vaccine?
For whatever that reason might be, and I still think that's a personal decision between a doctor and the individual, but when you go into the weeds, there's, in some places, among federal employees at one of our prisons in Indiana, 20% didn't want to get tested or take the vaccine. It sounds like there's flexibility there or an option, but Chuck, the reality is through many parts of the country, and it may be misguided in terms of that point of view, we're going to lose 10 to 20% that don't like either option there, and especially when it's in the form of a top-down mandate. So I think that you might be able to interpret that as giving you flexibility, but the reality is that some places aren't going to like either option.
What's the where's the evidence that there is actually going to be 20% not participating? The evidence so far of Tyson's has been like 97, 98%. United Airlines, I mean, there's been this fear that there will be a whole bunch of people walking away. That hasn't happened. You know, look, Americans at the end of the day, they're going to take their paycheck.
So the explanation for that is very clear. Larger corporate America has been behind, I think, the vaccine mandate from the get-go. I'm taking the pulse of Main Street America in places like Southern Indiana, throughout my state, in businesses that aren't large corporations. This isn't going to impact between 100 and 500 employees, 93,000 businesses that aren't big corporations that were defined as small businesses because we were helping them keep their employees up to 500. Now we want to force them away down to 100. It's a bad decision to be pushing that upon places like where I come from. It's not corporate America, it's Main Street.
Senator, I do have a bunch more questions for you, but the president has begun his speech in his new COVID plan, so I have to stop our interview there. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Here's the